Okay, so we go to the Chita. So today, good morning, everybody. As we go to the Chumash of the day, we're holding on Pashas Mishpatim. We're holding on the portion of Mishpatim. We're holding on chapter 23, verse number 6. You shall not pervert the judgment of your poor man in his lawsuit. Rashi says is Lashon Hava, expression desiring, meaning one who's impoverished and desires all good things. Distance yourself from your false matters. And do not kill a truly innocent person. Because I will not vindicate a wicked person, a guilty person. Rashi says, how do we know that if one emerges from the court guilty and is given a death sentence, that one of the judges say, I have a way to prove his innocence? We must bring him back to the court and retry him. Because the Torah states, and you do not kill an innocent person. Although he's not declared innocent, or he's not been vindicated by the court, he is nevertheless free from the death penalty, because you have a reason to acquit him. How do we know if one emerges from the court innocent, and one judge says, I have a way to prove his guilt? Did not bring him back to the court to retry him. In America's good, it's called double jeopardy. You're not allowed to bring a guy back to court because Torah states, and do not kill one who's declared innocent. So once he's declared innocent, you're not allowed to bring him back to court. And this is one of the innocent. This one is innocent because he was vindicated in the court. Eloi etzdak. Rashi says, Eloi etzdak Rasha. Rashi says it's not incumbent upon you to return him to court, for I will not vindicate him in my law. If he emerges innocent from your hands, and if he's truly guilty, don't worry, I have many agents to have him put to death penalty. Don't worry, I will not vindicate a Rasha. Person's a Rasha, he's a Rasha. You have nothing to worry about. I will not allow a Rasha to get out of his judgment. Sheikh Alaisikach, you should not take any kind of a bribe. Ya Sheikh Yaver Pikrim, because bribery blinds the sight of blinds the clear-sighted. Yisalev divrei tzadikim, and corrupts the words of the right. Now she says you shouldn't take a bribery even to judge fairly. Shouldn't take a bribery even the guy says, here, I'm giving you money, that you should be a fair judge. And surely to pervert judgment. For in fact, taking a bribe in order to pervert judgment is already mentioned. You shall not pervert judgment. So over here, we're talking about a guy comes forward and tells you, here's money, and I want you to make sure that you judge correctly. Yahweh Bikrim, says even the one who's wise in Torah, and he accepts a bribe, he will eventually become deranged, forget his studies, and lose his eyesight. That's why it says Yahweh Bikrim. Yisalif, she says, means to render his mekalkel, it spoils. Divrei tzadikim, words of the just, true judgment. So it's in Aramaic, this goyim taritzin, meaning words of it perverts the words of the straight. Verse number 9, you should not oppress a stranger. You know, you know the feeling of a stranger. He gave them a yisem be'eretz mikratzlayim because you were strangers in the land of Egypt. Rashi says we find many places in the Torah warning about a stranger, which over here means a convert. because he's strong temptation to return to his former bad ways. To be very careful in oppressing and a convert, because you might push him back to the ways of his idle ways. Nefesh Hager, how hard it is for him when people oppress him. 6 years you sold the land. Basaftas Tvuasa and gathering his produce. Rashi says, Basaftas Tvuasa, gather in the produce, Lashon Achnasa Labayis, an expression to bring it into your house. Bring it into your house. You know the law that you only obligated in Meiser if you bring the Truma, the Meiser, into your house. Verse 11, on the 7th year you shall release it. And the Tashtin shall abandon it. And the poor people of the land shall eat. The Yitraim Teichal Chayes Asada, they'll leave over to the beast of the field. This you shall do to your vineyard and to your old tree. So we know this, that last year in Eretz Yisrael was Shemitah. The Shemitah of Avodah, you have to let go of work of the land. And the Tashta Machila from eating it after the time of removal. Look in the Gemara, see Mechilta. Another interpretation from real work, such as plowing and sowing and abandon it from fertilizing and hope. The Yitrim Chayes Hasada. Now she says this is written in order to liken the food of the poor to the food of the beast. Just as the beast eats without tithing, so to the poor that come into your land on the 7th year, or in general, come into land the 7th year, they don't have to tithe. From here we derive that there's no tithing in the 7th year. You don't have to tithe because you don't own any of the fruits. And the people that have to tithe, because the fruit belongs to God, it's hefker. Unowned food, so to say. And the beginning of the verse is speaking to the grain of the field, as states above, you may sow your land. Over here it's talking to the vineyard. The beginning of the pasuk is talking to the grain. Verse number 12. 6 days you shall do your work. And the 7th day you shall rest. So that your ox and your donkey shall rest. Your maidservant son. And the stranger, again, the stranger shall be refreshed. Now she says, what does that have to do with the 7 years? We're talking about the Shemitah. So only we go back to Shabbos. So even the 7th year, the weekly Shabbos commemorating the creation shall be not uprooted. You might think, the whole year is Shabbos. So the whole year, imagine the Jews were all farmers and Eretz Yisrael came the 7th year, everybody was off. It was a whole year that nobody worked. So maybe the whole year is Shabbos. Therefore, you don't have to keep the Shabbos. No, nevertheless, you have to keep the Shabbos. If you're not saying that since the entire year is referring to a Shabbos, the weekly Shabbos need to have to be observed. Therefore, the Torah tells us, no, you have to still keep the Shabbos. Give it the rest. The minute to tear up and eat the grass of the earth. Or perhaps the verse means that one must be confined indoors. You must say that this confining them indoors would not be rest, but discomfort. Therefore, you should let the animals out. Let the animals do whatever they want. And Amasecha, text is speaking about uncircumcised slaves. Again, so over here, Rashi says the ger is not a convert. Over here, the ger is a ger teshuv, a resident alien. So you have to know when the Torah talks about a ger as a convert, when the Torah talks about a ger as a resident alien, different times, different meanings. Verse 13. And everything that I've said to you shall beware. So watch. And don't mention the names of other gods. Yishmael picha should not be heard through your mouth. Rashi says, This verse comes to give a positive commandment, the stringency of a prohibition, the negative commandment. For every extortion to beware Shemitah in the Torah is a prohibition. And it appears instead of a negative expression. Over here, Tisha Meru means by doing this, you're not doing a negative, you're not doing a prohibition. What does that mean? You shouldn't mention a deity. This can happen even today. The Rashi says, the Gemara says that one man said to another, wait for me at such and such an idol. Meet me at the church. Meet me on the day dedicated for such and such an idol. I'll meet you on a certain non-Jewish holiday. A Jew is not allowed to say that. Another explanation, concerning all that I've said to you, you shall beware in the name of the gods of strangers not be mentioned. This comes to teach you that idolatry is tantamount to all commandments combined. Whoever is careful with considered as if he has observed all of them. Well, Yishma, you shouldn't be heard from the Gentile al-picha, meaning you shall not enter the partnership with a Gentile, so that you not swear to you in the name of a pagan deity. The result, if you does swear, if he does swear, will be that you will be directly caused for the deity to be mentioned. So if you're going into a partnership with a person that's going to start to make vows and to vow with the vow of an idol, so then you are causing this situation and you shouldn't be involved. Not you should swear in the name of an idol. Not anybody should swear because you in the name of an idol. Through a claim that he made against him. Meaning on occasions may arise when the Gentile partner is required to swear something to the Jewish partner, and it will swear by his deity, and you're not allowed to even make another person, even a non-Jew, to swear in the name of an idol. Verse 14, you shall celebrate for me 3 years, 3 times a year. Regalim, Rashi says, it means times. Thank you. Regalim, since regalim means regel, means a foot. But here we know regalim, you have to go up also. Regel. You have to go up and these times 3 times a year to add it to Yerushalayim, wherever you were. Verse 15 is Chag HaMatzos Tishma. You should watch, you observe the festival of Matzos. Shivas Yamim for 7 days. Te'echol Matzah, you should be Matzah. Kasher Tzivi Sicha, which I command you. The Moed Chodesh Aviv, the appointed month of springtime. Yivay Yatzas Mitzrayim, because you went out in the spring. V'lo yero fanei reikim. Do not appear to the Beis Hamikdash empty-handed. She says, Chodesh Aviv, what is the springtime? The month in which the grain fills out its greenness, Aviv. Certainly, Aviv is an expression related to the word of, firstborn in the earliest month of the ripened fruit. What means don't come to me empty-handed? You come to Yerushalayim, to the Beis Hamikdash, you have to bring oilos, you have to bring burnt offerings. Verse 16, the festival of the harvest, first fruits of your labor, which you will sow in the field. The Chag HaOsiv, the festival of the gathering. It says Hashana at the end of the year. When you bring in the labors of your field. Rashi says, what's the festival of the harvest? Chag HaShavuos. That's the holiday of Shavuos. Bikurim Masecha, which is the time to bring of the first fruits for the 2 breads that were brought to Beis Hamikdash, 2 chalas, which were brought on Shavuos and served to permit the new grain to be used for meal offering, and also bringing the first fruits to the sanctuary, Bikurim. So Shtei Alechem, and also Bikurim, the first fruits we brought on the holiday of Shavuos. Chag HaOsiv, what's the festival of gathering? That is what we know, Chag HaSukkos. For the entire summer, the grain dried in the fields. And the festival of Sukkot was gathered into the house, was before it would start raining after the holiday of Sukkot as we go in to the month of Cheshvan. 17. Shalosh Bashama Yedas Kos Chukha 3 times a year. All males shall be seen as Pneya Adon Hashem for the Master of God. She says Shalosh Bam. This is the context deals with the 7th year. It was necessary to state that the 3 pilgrims festival would not be uprooted from their place. Again, person might think that maybe you don't have to celebrate Pesach, Sukkot, and Shavuos in the 7th year. Therefore, the Torah tells us everything that happens in 7th, even though the whole year is called the Shabbos, a year of Sabbath, it's a sabbatical year, but it doesn't stop any of the Sabbaths and the holidays that happen every year. All your males, all the males amongst you. Verse 18. You shall not sacrifice the blood of my sacrifice with leaven. And the fat of my festival sacrifice shall not stay overnight until morning. She says, what does it teach us? Number 1, that the yontiv of Pesach is different than any other yontiv. Every other yontiv starts at night. Pesach starts on the 14th by day when you bring the Korban Pesach, which started at 12 o'clock on the 14th. You shall not slaughter the Passover sacrifice on the 14th of Nisan until you have done away with your leaven. And that's why Pesach starts in the middle of the day. Even though every other holiday starts at night, Pesach is different than every other holiday, that it starts during the 14th by day, because the Korban Pesach was born on the 14th by day. You're not allowed to have chametz with the Korban Pesach when you're bringing the Korban. And therefore, it's prohibited already during the 14th. But my fat to the festival sacrifice should not stay overnight off the altar. One may think that even the altar prior, it would become disqualified. Therefore, the Torah states on the prior of the altar all night. So basically, some understood, especially on Pesach and the holidays, with thousands and thousands of Yidden, millions, who knows the number, came to the Beis Hamikdash. And you can imagine that the Kehana were busy a whole night. The Beis Hamikdash closed every night at sunset. And then after everybody left, all the korbanos that were sacrificed during the day were brought up on the Mizbeach the whole night. So once you put it on the Mizbeach, the animal, now it's on the Mizbeach. So even though past the night, it's already on the Mizbeach. Well, a Yalin, what does it mean only at dawn is it considered the fat of sacrifice had been staying overnight? So it has to wait till dawn. So that's why Maitiv, evening prayers go till dawn, really. You do Maitiv till dawn. Really, you should do it by midnight, but you can do Maitiv till dawn. But all night, he may pick the fat off the floor and return it back to the altar if it fell off the altar. Again, thousands of sacrifices. Verse 19, the choice of your first fruits of your soil, your ground. Bring it to the house of the Lord. Do not cook the kid in its mother's blood. This is the mother's milk. This is the first time we say this. We say it's brought down 3 times in the Torah. Okay, they should be good at Maskarashes, even in the 7th year again. The offering of Bikurim is obligation. Therefore, it's stated here too, the first fruits of your soil. How is Bikurim chosen? Person enters his field. He sees a fig has ripened. He winds a blade of grass around it. It's a sign that this fruit, Bikurim, was sanctified. He's taking this one. Now, Bikurim, you say it every day in your prayers. Certain things have no amount. it can be one fruit. You can take a lot of fruit. That was up to you. But really, the minimum is one fruit. That's what Rashi says over here. The first fruit you see coming out of your tree, you put a sign upon it, and that was the fruit that was bikurim. And from the 7 species enumerated in the scripture, the 7 species that Israel was blessed with: a land of wheat, barley, vine, figs, pomegranates, a land of oil yielding olives, and of honey, which is date honey. So we have the seven things that the 7 fruits and grains, because the wheat and barley is a grain. So the 2 grains and the 5 fruits that Eretz Yisrael was blessed with, that's what Bikurim is brought from, not from apples or oranges. It was brought from these 7 different kinds of fruits and grains. The Rashi says a calf and a lamb are also included in the word Gedi. Gedi is only an expression of a tender young animal. This you know from what we find in many places in the Torah, Gedi is written, and it was necessary to write the word Izim to qualify as a kid. For example, I will send you a Gediism. We mentioned that in the story of Yehuda. He said a Gediism, a kid, Gediism, 2 kids, Izim Gedai, to teach us that wherever Gedi is mentioned, unqualified, doesn't say Gediism, that means a goat. So it can be a lamb, a Gedi. In the Torah, can be a goat or a lamb. This prohibition is written 3 places in the Torah, 3 different places. So we know the mixture of milk and meat. The mixture of milk and meat is a prohibition for 3 things. This prohibition is written in 3 places in Torah to prohibit eating milk and meat together. 1 prohibition for deriving any benefits of milk and meat together. If I pass for shalom by mistake, I cook milk and meat together. I'm not allowed to have any hanaf, and I can't give it to my dog. I have to throw it in the garbage. I can't give it to a non-Jew that could eat milk and meat together. I cannot do that. And number 3 is the prohibition of cooking meat and milk and meat together. So there are 3 prohibitions. You're not allowed to cook to begin with, even if you're not going to eat it. You're cooking for somebody else. You're not allowed to cook milk and meat together. You're not allowed to eat milk and meat together. Somebody else cooked it for you. And you're not allowed to have any hana, any pleasure from milk, that's something that has milk and meat together. And once the milk and meat came together, was cooked together, not just 2 things came together, was cooked together, now the thing needs to be destroyed. You cannot give it to your dog. You can't give it to your friend non-Jew. It has to be destroyed. That completes the Chumash of the day. We'll now go to the Tanya of the day. We're on chapter 26. Central point of the Rebbe. What Alter Rebbe is trying to explain to us, central point above discussion, was that through the currents of evil thoughts in one's mind, through one's battle against them, the Sitra Achra Sudud, causing great pleasure above. That's where we ended yesterday. God has a great pleasure through the avodah of a person that has the struggle, that overcomes his evil inclination, the rasha that overcomes his wickedness. Because who gave him his wickedness? God. God gave us our evil tendencies. That's what Eov said, but also to show you. Not that God made people wicked. God gave the potential of wickedness to everybody. And only the tzaddik is the one who transformed his wickedness into good. But the Beinoni, or the one who's trying to be a Beinoni, still has the wickedness within him. but he overcomes it. He doesn't allow it. And as I mentioned yesterday, he makes sure that the battle is always in his mind. He never allows the battle to move to even speech and for surely to action. He has the battle in his mind because that's the best place to have the battle, because that's when you can have total control, because nobody can force you to think about something. And if something comes into your mind, you have the power to push it away. You have the power to think about something else. And the Eibishter has great satisfaction for that battle and the winning of that battle. The Alter Rebbe gave a beautiful analogy of the concept of matamim. The Eibishter says, I have great delight from different kinds of delicacies. The delicacy of a tzaddik is a sweet delicacy, naturally sweet. The delicacy of a Rasha, of a struggling Jew, is like the delicacy of salt or pepper, where the beauty of salt is you cannot eat it on its own. It's a negative thing. But you take the salt and you put it as part of another food, now you have even an unbelievable taste, an unbelievable food. David says, I have a great delight from this. When this person who takes his salt, his nefesh habahamis, takes his animal soul, his salt, his pepper, and he has desire, he has passion for things that are not good. And he takes that passion, he subdues it, he uses it out for good. Eibishter says, it's my greatest delight. Alter Rebbe now goes on to say that this subjugation of Sitra Achra and the concept of divine pleasure are brought about not only by one who struggles against his da'at, when it attempts him to lead to sin, as in our case, with the lack of the struggle against evil thoughts and the continued meditation on them would constitute a sin. Rather, one produces the same effect by struggling with one's nature and abstaining from permitted matters. Means controlling one's desires, even in the concept of what's permitted. So explained in chapter 6, any permitted action done without a specific intention of leading one to service of God, for example, eating, in order to obtain strength for study Torah or performance of mitzvahs, derives its vitality from Sitra. So to realizing when somebody has control of himself, they can control his desires, he control his temptation, even positive things. To control yourself, have self to learn. We need to all learn. A Bein Nisholi needs to learn how to have self-control. The term simply means the other side, meaning the absence of holiness. Doesn't mean bad. We always translate it as meaning bad, but it's not bad. It can be even good. It's just not holy. And we should learn to control our desires and our temptations, the unholy things. Forget about bad things, just unholy things. We don't need it. We don't need it. That's the expression by Chassidim. What you're not allowed, you're not allowed. And what you're allowed, you don't always need. It's not always needed. You don't need to have it. You can survive without it. If we learn, if I can train myself to start practicing to begin with self-control. Not everything I want to say, I need to say. Not everything I want to think, I need to think. Not everything I want to do, I need to do. Stop practicing self-control, because that's the whole point of Torah, self-control. So why wait for the negative to have self-control? We need to practice even the positive to have self-control. That the positive things, the general things that we do should be only positive. So, and if it's not positive, maybe I shouldn't do it. If I can practice to have self-control, then I can surely, when it comes to a negative thing, have self-control. Therefore, whenever one refrains from doing even a permissible act in which this intention is lacking, he doesn't have I'm not doing anything, I'm eating. But I'm not eating l'shem shamayim. I'm not eating for the sake of anything good. I'm just eating for the sake of eating. It's not an aveda. Not a sin to eat, but maybe I don't need to eat that much. I don't need to. I can eat a little less in order to subdue this. I'm doing that because I don't need to have everything. I don't need to have everything that I can have. He gives a rise to divine pleasure. So it starts even after that, but I said before, even starts in things that are allowed. Furthermore, not only fighting his evil thoughts, does one subdue the Sitra, but even the matters that are fully permissible. Every act of sacrifice of impulse, even if it's only for a short while, if he delays partaking for even permissible and essential things, because you know what, I don't need it. But he has the mind, not because I don't need it, because he has in mind, you know what, I'm going to try to have self-control. I want it, I desire it, it's not a bad thing, and I want to have it. Okay, I want, not everything I want. Do I need to get? And I'm doing that to show myself that I have control. I can control my desires. I can control my wants. And he's doing that to show himself that he has control over himself, to subdue his desires, which is, again, it's not a godly desire because he's not doing it for the sake of heaven. But it's not a sin. It's just a bodily desire. For example, he wants to eat. He says, you know what? I'll eat. I have to eat. But you know what? Let me learn a little bit more. He says, you know what? I won't. The Gemara says that that's what the sages used to do. They would always push off their lunch for an hour. They were in the middle of studying. Lunch was 12 o'clock. They would say, you know what? Let us push it off to 1 o'clock. What's going to happen? We'll learn another hour. We will push off our lunch. We're going to eat lunch. Doesn't make a difference whether you do it 12 o'clock or 1 o'clock. But the point was to show that they had control. That even though 12 o'clock was lunch and they could have all stopped, they said, let's go to 1. Whether it's an hour or less than an hour. But he says, you know what? I want to study. See if you can have self-control. See if you can control yourself. Practice mind over matter. If he occupies himself with other physical matters, he does not subdue his sitracha by postponing his meal. Since he's in any case indulging in his animal selves, what's the difference if you're going to eat? Well, you go and you say, I'll play an extra hour. I'll play football an extra hour. That's not the point. There's no difference between football and eating. They're both permitted things, but they're for the body. They're for the sake of the body, for the pleasure of the body. But if he says, you know what, I'm going to study Torah during this time, then even when he delayed his meal, does not gain him any time of Torah study because he's eating lunch in an hour. What's the difference you do at 12 o'clock or 1 o'clock? It's the same lunch period. So therefore, really, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make a difference. You're not per se gaining. You're not learning more because you're learning the same amount. Whether you take, if you're not going to eat, say, skip lunch is one thing. But you say, you know, instead of eating from 12 to 12:30, I'll eat from 1 to 1:30. It's the same half an hour. So what's the difference? 12. But no, the point is, I said, you know what? I can eat 12 o'clock. I might have a desire. I'm hungry. I'm going to eat 12 o'clock. I want to eat 12 o'clock. But you know what? I'll push it off till 12:30. Why? Because I want to learn. I want to continue to learn. I want to show that I can continue to learn. And I can push off that desire to eat for another half an hour. It's not going to be the end of the world. Yet he subdues the sitrach by mere effort of postponing his meal. Not canceling his meal, postponing it. The Eibishter has a great, great satisfaction. He brings about divine pleasure caused by every subjugation. Every time I can push it off, the Eibishter has, the Zohar says, the Eibishter God has a great satisfaction. As the Gemara says, everybody ate the 4th hour of the day. They ate lunch in the 4th hour of the day. Shashishis, The rabbis, the sages would go to 6th hour. They pushed it off. They pushed it off for 2 hours. So everybody ate the 4th hour of the day. Chacham said, you know what? Even though that's what everybody does in 4th hour of the day, we'll go further. We'll control our desire to eat. They would go hungry for 2 hours, even though they ultimately broke for the lunch, for the 4th, the 6th hour, and the 8th. And it took time, like anybody else. It takes time to eat. But they said, you know what? We're going to do it. We're going to show ourselves that we can wait another 2 hours. Even though they after the meal, what did they do? They would sit and learn together, and they would learn the whole day rest. What's the difference? Okay, now you feel that bottom should be lieber. Similarly, if one restrains his mouth, he just controls. You know what? I enjoy having this good conversation. You know what? I don't see any purpose in the conversation. I'm not talking negative, just talking nothing. I won't do that. I won't do that. It's not about business. It's not just, well, that's used for friendship. I don't know. But if it's dust, why do I need to say everything? Even where there is nothing wrong with the words per se, yet he refrains from speaking them precisely because he feels the desire to do so. And likewise regarding thoughts of his mind, he suppresses the urge to think about mundaneness. He says, you know, enough is enough. I don't need to think, I don't need to give time to this. Why am I giving time to this? It's not a negative thing. I'm not doing a sin. But let me learn self-control. Even the slightest subjugation, the subjugation of the sitra acha here below, the glory of God and His holiness is greatly elevated. From this holiness, brings about a great holiness on man below. To assist him with great and powerful aid. But in the service, I realize the Eibishter says, if you do a little step here in this world, and you show self-control, I'm going to reveal upon you greatness. I'm going to give you unbelievable. You're going to realize the power that you have. You're going to realize that the power that each and every one of us has to be able to push it to transform this world. This is what our sages said. A person consecrates himself a little bit here in this world. He's sanctified greatly above. One small step for man, great step for mankind. We need to do one little step in this world. We need to show one act of self-restraint. The Eibishter says, I'm going to open up for you great treasures. Besides the fact that when I do that, I'm doing a mitzvah. After that, say now I'm doing a mitzvah. Mitzvahs aseh shel Torah. I'm doing, besides that, I'm open, I'm giving the Eibishter Nachas Ruach, and I'm giving, it's a mitzvah. The Torah says, Viskadishtem, be holy. What is the meaning of Viskadishtem? You shall be holy. Gemara asked the question. You shall be holy. Well, how do I do? Put on tefillin? That's a mitzvah in the Torah. I should put on tefillin. Eat kosher? That's a mitzvah in the Torah. So what does it mean you shall be holy? And the Gemara answers, Kaddish atzacham b'mutalach. Sanctify yourself in what's allowed for you. So it means the Eibishter says holiness means to become to even things that's allowed to you. Let's see if you can bring sanctity in it. Let's see if you can make it holy. Or it's only because it's not a sin, but it's only because of your mundaneness. And you bring holiness. into it. So therefore, if we can do that in our good things that we do, that we only do it for holiness, that's a mitzvah. Every time I say to myself, oh, why am I doing this? Oh, I don't need it. Then I did a mitzvah. Hence, apart from the consolation previously offered, the Baini, that through turning away from evil, by combating evil thoughts and desires, he affords God pleasure. But tzaddikim can't. His battle with Sitra Achra also contains a positive quality, the carry of doing good, that is likewise not present in divine service of tzaddikim. Positive quality is fulfillment of the mitzvah, sanctify yourself, which applies only to a Baini, not to tzaddikim, because they are sanctified. They don't have the challenge of the mundane. They don't care about the mundane. That is only to us that we do care about the mundane. We do like the world. We enjoy the world. There's nothing wrong with that. And the Eibush says, I am not taking away the enjoyment from the world from you. Have a little bit of holiness in it. Have a little bit, constrain yourself a little bit. Show yourself that it's not totally for the sake of selfishness, for the sake of just bodily and physical needs. Try to bring holiness in your life. Not only should you do negative things, not only should you do bad things, even in good things, bring some kedusha, bring some holiness into it. And that is only what a Baini can do. And not a tzaddik can do this. So a Baini, as in essence, can do more mitzvahs in a way of like surah achlavacher, no follow the eyes, don't follow your heart, which a tzaddik doesn't have. And now that the Baini has another thing that a tzaddik doesn't have, is the mitzvah of being holy. The mitzvah of taking things that is allowed to you and saying, you know what? Either I can do it for the sake of heaven or I don't need it. I can live without it. And that's the beauty. This directive cannot be applied to tzaddikim who are unencumbered by the desires of the animal soul. So we can get more mitzvahs in the positive and the negative more than a tzaddik can get. That's what to sanctify yourself, me shall make yourself holy. Meaning, that's to say that although in truth one is not holy and separate from Sifra Achla, he is because the truth is the Bainani, the middleman, one who's trying to be a middleman. My friend, you have a Yetzer Hara. You have an animal soul. You are walking with evil in a way. You're walking with an impure thing in your existence. That's life. You're never going to get rid of it. And it's still your animal soul, your Sitra Achra is as strong, and it's within you as at birth. And it's full strength and might in the left part of his heart, the seed of the animal soul, the inclination. So the word kedusha, holiness, means setting apart, separating yourself from unholiness. The verse thus means one should sanctify himself even if he must make himself holy and separate himself from the unholiness. He still has unholiness, he's separating. Concept of being able to separation. To a tzaddik, everything is one. He doesn't need to separate. He has only holiness. To a regular Jew like me, who has a nefesh abahamis, who has an animal soul, and I need to learn how to separate it. I need to learn that there's a time for holiness and there's a time not to do mundaneness. There are times. And there are times I'm going to fall into mundaneness. Again, I'm not talking about sin. I'm just going to fall into the concept of selfishness, which is not a sin, but it has no kedusha. It has no holiness. It's void of holiness. And I need to do that. I need to learn how in my mundaneness, How with my nefesh habahamis? How with my animalistic soul to bring holiness in? Separate it. Bring holiness into my mundaneness. Bring holiness into my day-to-day life. And there's two ways I can do it. Either by using it out for the sake of heaven or not doing it. Just not doing it. If I can use it for the sake of heaven, surely I should use it for the sake of heaven. If I can't, don't do it. He subdues his evil impulse. Again, the evil impulse does not his evil impulse does to do things for the sake of self and say, you know what? I'm going to separate it. I'm just not going to do it. Either again, I'm going to do it for the sake of heaven, or I'm not going to do it because I'm a holy person. Why would I want to do something for no reason? Why would I want to do something just for no reason? Just for the self. No gain. No godly gain. No purpose. No long-time gain. We shall be holy. The word be holy, which is a simple sense, a voice, a command, and also be understood, conveying a promise to layman. And if a person, the Abisha says, Torah says, you have many expressions of this. Kedoshim tiyu, v'yisim kedoshim. That means if a person, kedoshim tiyu, if a person himself strengthens himself to be holy, Abisha will make you holy. God will make you holy. Lemus sefer liyas kaddish. Do a small step. God will open up holiness to you. You will be holy. Remove from sitrach. Through his being greatly sanctified from above. As quoted early in the Gemara. And the Avishta says, now when you show yourself self-control, are we in the heavens? We are going to help you to take control. We're going to help you. If you're going to show a small step of self-control in this world, even things that are allowed, we are going to open the gates of control. We're going to give you unbelievable capabilities to have self-control and to be in control. And you'll be able to eradicate your negative from you, slowly but surely. So through being aided from above to expel the sitracha from his heart, little by little. So even in his heart, he will no longer have any desire for anything originating from the realm. He'll never come to a sin. He'll never ever come to a sin. Forget about it. He will have more and more kedusha in his life. You'll have more and more self-control in his life. You gotta make the first baby step. You gotta prove to yourself to begin with that you have self-control. And again, the chachma really is, Kedoshim tiyu really. The chachma is not to do the Aveda, because you might not do the Aveda for many different reasons. Afraid of something, but even do something you're allowed to do. Have self-control in that. Kedoshim tiyu. That's what Kedoshim tiyu says in this. And you shall be holy is not by that don't do the sin. Don't do the sin. God says don't do the sin. Kedoshim tiyu, God says, I want to see you to have self-control in things you're allowed to do. Let's see if you can have self-control. That you don't need everything. Not everything you want, you need. And that's the beauty of Kedoshim tiyu, be holy. See if you have the capability. And if you have that capability of proving to yourself that you can be Kaddish, you can sanctify yourself in things that are allowed to you, that's when they'll open up the gates of heaven. Beautiful, beautiful Tanya of the day. We finished chapter 27 of Tanya. Today is the 25th day of the month, which is half the chapter 119. The letter Aleph to the letter Mem. You do that half of chapter 119, you would do the chitas of the day. I invite you all to 10 o'clock. We're going to have a class here in Sikh of the Rebbe, the portion of the week, either at Chabad or Zoom, or direct, and everybody's welcome to come. And surely I'll see you Mitchum tomorrow, 8 o'clock. We'll continue chitas.